They told you discipline is chains. They lied. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the foundation of it. Because let me ask you, what is freedom? Really? Is it sleeping until noon, doing whatever feels good in the moment, drifting from one distraction to another? Or is it owning your time, owning your mind, owning your future? Discipline isn't a cage. Indulgence is. The man who obeys every urge, every craving, every fear is not free. He is enslaved. He is a puppet pulled by invisible strings, scrolling when he should be building, snacking when he should be training, procrastinating when he should be rising. But the man with discipline, he is dangerous. He is rare. He is free. Free to execute. Free to choose long-term over instant. Free to become unavailable to weakness. And that kind of freedom terrifies the average, because they see in him what they could have become if they had said no to comfort and yes to purpose. Think of the greats, every single one of them. Edison, who failed 1,000 times, but rose again, candle in hand, chasing light. Carnegie, who started with nothing but a hunger too big to fit inside any excuse. Muhammad Ali, who trained in the dark so the world could watch him shine. Every legend was sculpted in discipline's silence. They didn't wait for motivation. They didn't negotiate with laziness. They trained when no one was watching. They worked when no one was clapping. Discipline is not loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Every morning, every night. Do it anyway. And that's the battle most will never fight. The invisible war between who you are and who you could be. Because here's the truth. There will always be an easier path. There will always be a reason to delay. And your mind will always offer the same sweet lies. It's just one day. You deserve a break. No one's watching. But discipline isn't about the world watching. It's about you watching yourself. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need permission to be excellent. The truth is this. The more disciplined you are, the lighter you become. Lighter because you no longer carry the weight of regret. Lighter because your conscience is clean. Lighter because you walk aligned with your goals, your vision, your purpose. You don't shrink from the mirror. You don't flinch in the silence. You know exactly who you are because every action reflects your standard, and that standard is high. By design, so no, discipline is not a punishment. It's not self-denial. It's not suffering for the sake of suffering. Discipline is trust in future you. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is your declaration that you are no longer available for mediocrity. You don't chase dopamine. You chase legacy. Because in the end, freedom doesn't come from avoiding effort. It comes from mastery. And mastery only answers to one name, discipline. But discipline alone is just a sword. To wield it, you need belief. A fire so deep, so personal, that even in the darkest hour, you can see through the smoke. Because let's get something straight. You don't become relentless by accident. You don't climb mountains without first deciding, this is mine. The mind must claim it before the body ever begins to chase it. Every empire, every fortune, every revolution began the same way, with a whisper, a vision, a belief that screamed, why not me? That's where clarity is born, not in noise, not in trends, in silence. When you sit with your dream long enough that the world around you fades and all that remains is the non-negotiable. You were born to do something that matters, but clarity is not given. It is forged. And most people never get there because they're too busy reacting to the world, to opinions, to circumstances, instead of building from the inside out. You don't need more motivation. You need a mission, a reason to bleed, not just breathe. You need to wake up and remember. You are not here to drift. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to decorate the scenery of someone else's dream. You are here to declare war on your potential, to take that fragile thing inside you and turn it into steel. Clarity is power. When you know where you're going, every no becomes a shield. Every temptation becomes noise. Every obstacle becomes a test, not a stop sign. Walt Disney saw a kingdom when others saw a swamp. Henry Ford saw machines that would change the world when the world laughed at horses. And you must see what only you can see, even if no one else claps, even if no one else gets it, even if the path is cold, lonely, and uphill. Because the truth is, most people quit not from failure, but from lack of clarity. They forget why they started. They lose sight of who they're becoming. They get tired, and their vision fades. But those who hold the picture in their mind, those who replay it so often that it becomes their default state, they become unbreakable. They don't beg for opportunities. They become the opportunity. Because action, real, powerful, relentless action, only happens when your belief is backed by obsession, when excuses stop sounding like options, when failure becomes fuel, when fear becomes irrelevant, not because it disappears, but because you've chosen something bigger than comfort, a life that actually means something. So act, move like time is running out, because it is. Speak your vision, write it, bleed it into your calendar, build a life so aligned with who you're meant to be, that even on your worst day, you're still walking forward. That's how momentum is built. Not in bursts, not in hype, but in silence, in sweat, in absolute clarity of who you are and who you refuse to die as. You don't get what you kind of want, you get what you're obsessed with. And obsession, when aligned with purpose, becomes invincible. The world will test your vision the moment you speak it out loud, not because the universe is cruel, but because it wants to know, how bad do you want it? You say you want freedom. You say you want wealth. You say you want to change your life. But are you willing to be broken for it? Because let me tell you something no one says out loud. Your dream will betray you before it blesses you. It will demand everything, your time, your friends, your old self, and then it will leave you in the dark to see if you'll still move. That's when the masses fold. They interpret resistance as rejection. But warriors, they interpret resistance as confirmation. They understand the pressure is the proof. Steel is not forged in peace. It's born in fire. And so are you. You want a life that few will ever touch. Then be ready to do what most will never endure. Be ready to walk alone, to be misunderstood, to rise without applause, to fall without a net. That's where resilience is built. Not in the moments you win, but in the moments you get hit and keep your eyes forward. Because vision is not what you see when your eyes are open. It's what you keep seeing even when they're swollen shut. Success doesn't require perfection. It requires a refusal to quit. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, lost money, lost children, but he never lost vision. Because when your why is strong, you'll bleed before you break. You'll crawl before you quit. You'll adapt, evolve, endure. Because you understand, storms don't kill people. Surrender does. When others panic, you adapt. When others freeze, you shift. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. This is what separates the destined from the average. Not luck, not talent, but the inner fire that whispers, I'll find a way, or I'll make one. Your power is not in what you control. It's in how you respond when control disappears. Life will throw curveballs. People will disappoint you. Markets will crash. Plans will explode. And that's exactly when you must stand tallest. Not because you feel strong, but because you've trained yourself to stay standing. And here's the truth. If comfort is your God, growth will be your enemy. If safety is your addiction, purpose will feel like pain. But for those who decide, I want my life to mean something, pain becomes a teacher. Setbacks become signals. And suffering becomes raw material for the legacy they are building. They bend, but they do not break. They adapt, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more of who they truly are. Vision isn't just an image of the future. It's an anchor. When everything around you shakes, it's the thing that keeps you from drifting. And when you lock in, when that vision becomes real in your heart, before it ever shows up in your bank account, your results, your status, then the war is already won. The rest is just time catching up. Let me tell you something the world forgot to teach you. Gratitude is not weakness. It is fuel. It is not passive. It is not soft. It is the sharpened lens that lets you see power where others see pain, because the one who is thankful, truly, deeply thankful for both the gift and the grind, is the one who cannot be broken. You think the storm is proof you're off track. No. The storm is proof you're moving. Only the ones sailing against the current feel the wind. Gratitude lets you breathe through it. It lets you look at every scar and say, that one taught me something. It lets you rise each day not with entitlement, but with a fire that whispers, I still have another shot. Let's make it count. You don't get to the top by accident. You get there because you sharpen every weapon you have, And the mind is your greatest blade. You feed it with vision, you fuel it with purpose, and you train it with learning every single day. The moment you stop growing is the moment you start dying. And if you're not feeding your mind with truth, it will be fed by noise. Read, study, question, obsess. Not for diplomas, not for praise, but because you are becoming a weapon. And every sharp edge counts. You must become so committed to growth that even your enemies respect you. So disciplined in your evolution that the old version of you wouldn't recognize the one you've become. Because here's the truth. You're not just building a business. You're not just chasing goals. You're building a mind. And the quality of your mind decides the quality of your life. You are the architect of your belief, the sculptor of your identity. And every decision you make, every thought you repeat, it carves you. So carve wisely. And now, listen closely. No one is coming to save you. There's no secret door. No shortcut. No moment when it all magically makes sense. It's you, your decision, your fight, your rise. You either stay in the loop of excuses, or you rise into the rare class of souls who take full, brutal ownership of their future. The world has enough talkers, enough waiters, enough people chasing someday. It needs doers, believers, builders. And if you've listened this far, maybe, just maybe, you're one of them. So here's your call. Don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to scrolling. Don't go back to normal. You weren't built for that. You weren't made to blend in. Shrink down. Stay comfortable. You were made to dominate your lane, to become the living proof that vision beats circumstance. That belief beats fear. That discipline becomes freedom. So move. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. Because your future doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to work. Think clearly. Act boldly. Live intentionally. And no matter how hard it gets, never forget who you are. You are not average. You are not background noise. You are not here to exist. You are here to lead, to conquer, to rewrite your bloodline. So go do it.